Okay.
Thank you. All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the October 30th meeting of the Harwich Housing Committee. Present, we have Matt Hemian, Art Bowden, Ellen Collins. Anthony is absent today. We are joined by our guest, Brendan Lowney from the Affordable Housing Trust. Ellen, do you want to just say hi, give everybody a little blitz about who you are, what you hate, you know?
What I hate?
No, what you like, what you hate. No.
So my name is Ellen Collins. I moved to Harwich. Well, I bought my house. It'll be 5 years next month. And then I moved full-time in May of 2021. I work remotely. I work for a small bank located north of Boston. I'm a mortgage underwriter, so I've been doing that for a very long time. And I've always been very interested in how I can help with housing because I feel that it's a huge need. And so when I came in to pay my water bill at town hall, I saw that they were looking for volunteers. So I said, this is great. This is a great way to, kind of give back to the community because I really love living here. I grew up in a small town in northern New York, and it's very similar. I lived in Medford before, so I had that whole Boston mix, and now I'm here. So
That's my hometown, Medford.
Medford, we'll see. Medford.
Mm-hmm.
I lived on Fleestad Road for years, like 20 years.
Yeah, awesome.
Well,
Great.
we are thrilled that you are here.
Welcome aboard.
And mortgage, money, that's good.
Yeah,
I know
I mean,
nothing about money.
It's very, tapping into different resources from a mortgage standpoint, but there's a lot more
That's
on the
good.
affordable side too.
You want to just introduce yourself
Yep.
to Ellen quickly?
I'm Matt Hemian. I grew up here in Harwich, went to Harwich High School. Family's been in Harwich since it started, pretty much generations. Came back here after college. Been working real estate since I was in college. Went full time in 2019. Bought my house in 21, and just saw the need for housing growing up with kids, and that I see still here, and wanting to help them figure out ways to get into homes. Because selling houses to kids I grew up with, it's like it feels good,
Yeah.
That's awesome. Art Bowden, and my housing journey started with my first house, and I'm not ashamed to say it, I got a helping hand, and it wasn't from my folks, it was just the opposite. Anyways, it was a starter home, and it was so far out in the country, I jokingly had to bring your own sunlight. It was that far. Anyways, I just loved the little house. It was brand new, and long story short is I was kind of short on the down payment, and the developer came to me and said, Art, he says, I know you like this house. I said, I do. He says, he says, let me guess, you're short a few shackles on the house. I said, oh, you nailed it, And he says, here's what I'm going to do for you. And I've never even heard the term before, and I'm an accountant. And he says, I'll offer you a second mortgage. A what? I didn't even know what a second mortgage was. He said, yeah, I'll take some paper back. And he said, I'll charge you exactly what the bank's going to, and whatever you're short, and we'll run it out 20 years. So I paid him, for as long as I lived there, $20.69 a month or something like that. And I got into my first house. So that I had a hand up. And ever since then, that's always in the back of my mind. I came to Cape Cod, retired, I got interested in Habitat, and Habitat is everything I know about housing. And I'm a Habitat junkie, they do great stuff, and so when the opportunity came along, I was between whatever, and I said, geez, I want to branch out, and I got on the housing committee. I've been on the housing committee for almost 10 years now.
When the town would let it exist. And Art, sells himself short, everything I know about housing is Habitat. No. ask any question about anything that happened housing related for the past like 20 years, and Art knows. Okay, I forgot to put minutes on the agenda, so we can't do that. Brianna, do you mind if I take Brendan first? He has to leave at 6:30, and we want to discuss both what the trust wants to do and the list that you sent. Is that okay?
No, I didn't fully hear you, sorry. What did you say?
I'd like to start with Brendan, because he has the Charter Commission at 6:30, and
Absolutely.
he wants to discuss your list anyway, in terms of like what you want us to do, what the trust needs, so I'm gonna
Yeah,
start.
that's,
Thank you, hon. All right, so
of course.
Brendan, what do you?
So just some quick updates from the trust. Larry Ballantyne is back officially, so he'll be taking over the chair role for the next meeting. I'm sure he still has to be sworn in again, but that's just a quick update there. And then today, we both were able to attend the Housing Summit, which is always great to do. I mean, you always learn something there. And what I took away from that is something we've been talking about for a while. It's the 40Y, which is the adoption of the starter home zoning. And then you have the seasonal communities as well that we have to opt into. So both have a process to making that happen. And I was thinking this would be a great task for maybe your committee to head up the seasonal communities, like dive into that. There's a couple of towns that already have it. I believe every town from Orleans up, or maybe Chatham up, have already opted into it. So how can we do it? What does it all mean? I have not had time to really dive into it with everything that's going on. The select board, it'd be great for them to have like an update or presentation on it that we could either do together, or if you want to take it on with Brianna. But I just figured it'd be something good for the housing community for you guys to really sink your teeth into. And along with that, see how the $5 billion bill is, what's in that for us. And then on the other side, on the 40Y, we're going to try and tinker with that with some potential RFPs that might be coming up. How can we incorporate that, into one of our RFPs? Because we want to get into home ownership. The rentals are great. The only issue with that is that the state does not give any money for right now. That fund is dried up from my understanding. So whether it's a buy-down program or what have you, so we have to figure out how to facilitate that. So right now, there's plenty of funding for 80% AMI or less, or the average of.
Right.
And then, of course, CPC funding with 100% AMI or less. So those two. So I figured maybe both of us could work on that. We'll take on the 40Y, and maybe you tackle the seasonal communities.
Absolutely.
Like I said, it'd just be
Yeah.
nice to have, you become the experts. If you think that's a good new mandate, you could check in with the select board. I know that we're different, our board. We're not,
No,
we don't report to them, more or less.
Right.
So we're not an advisory board.
Right.
So I think that'd be a good thing for you to tackle.
Yes, I showed you Brianna's
Yeah.
list, and at the bottom it's review the Homes Act and seasonal communities. Seasonal communities, just so everyone knows, about every other week they say, oh, and the final regulations will be out at the end of the week. Oh, the final. So we heard this morning
It's confusing.
that the final regulations and all from the seasonal communities will be out by the end of the year. So hopefully we'll be able to, but we definitely something I want to work on, because the way I look at it and the way Brianna looks at it too is we mainly should be attainable housing.
Mm-hmm.
They're affordable. It's in their name.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, seasonal communities, things like that are attainable.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's sort of our mandate.
Yeah.
Unless, you ever ask us for help on something.
Yeah.
You're gonna ask us for help on something affordable.
And then the last thing we could talk more about that. I just want to forget it. In December, we'd like to do a joint meeting. It was set for Monday, Tuesday. We're trying to figure out who can make where, when, and why. We might just move it back to Monday. but I have to figure that one out. So sorry to be back and forth on that.
Well,
Right now, it stands on that Tuesday, but now I can't make that, and then Jeff
Okay,
Handler
nice.
can't make the other one.
So you're thinking Monday the 8th?
Monday the 8th, we usually
Okay.
have the meeting at 1 p.m., but if that's an issue for most, then we can, but 1 p.m. everyone can make it on our
Mhm.
side, if we move it back to that Monday. We get some time to decide, obviously.
yeah, figure out, I mean, we could do,
Either works for me. So.
can you do an afternoon?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I can do it with notice, like I've already told work that, so I can do.
It'd be a
yeah.
great meeting just to talk more about
Mhm.
this, and, you could dive into the 40Y seasonal communities, the Homes Act, and, see what we can attack together. But we have to have an annual meeting.
Right.
And also, the trust is gonna, we're not too sure yet, but maybe we're gonna be talking about when we reorganize, as we have new members, updating some paperwork with the Registry of Deeds. And then also, we're supposed to meet once a year.
Right.
And they're all supposed to get together and give a report to the select board. So we're gonna try and do that, whether it's January, but we have to figure that out. But we think it's going to be January, that we always meet at least once a year. We obviously will meet more than that, but we have to at least do that mandatory meeting, and that's what our trust docs say, that we have to do that. And it's in the bylaws as well.
Right.
Okay, so potentially we will all save December 8th at 1 o'clock.
I think so. I think we stay with that, if you guys can pull that off. Sorry.
Looks good.
All right,
And I'll run it by my group and just refresh that, so everyone knows.
that's a month, so hopefully nobody will mess me up.
Yeah, it's tough to do something around Christmas time, but
All right, anything else?
that was all I had. Like I said, the housing summit was great. I thought it's always great to go to that. You definitely do learn a lot.
Yeah, I'll explain later why I got a little upset. No, Senator Sear gets up there and he's saying, so we have to have a working group and put together, language for a transfer fee. And I went up to him after, I'm like, Julian, that's what I just spent the past 4 months doing at the county, is a transfer fee. I've had my economic affairs meetings like every other week, and we will be presenting, so just so you know, and I'll send it to everyone, we will be presenting a framework to the full assembly next Wednesday about the transfer fee, how we think we should ask for it, what exactly we're thinking, so that every delegate can go back to their town, get the town's input, see if towns are fine with it or who they'd like to have come address it. And I assume we'll have at least one, if not 2 more meetings after next Wednesday, just on the transfer fee, so that everyone gets a chance to weigh in on it. So it was fun to listen to Julian say, oh, we should do this. I'm like, yeah. So, all right.
Thank you very much for
Thank
having
you
me.
for joining us.
Thank you for
I'll
coming.
see you guys soon. Thank you. Nice meeting you as well. Well, nice seeing you again.
Nice seeing you again.
See you soon.
Yeah,
Yep,
absolutely.
see you in
Nice meeting you.
December.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you.
So,
All right, Brianna.
I was gonna bring out
Yes, I'm here.
All right, hon, what's up?
Okay, so I guess I'll start with my actionable items, since Brendan, just to piggyback off of what he was saying, and where he started. But I agree, Elizabeth and I have been working on deep diving into seasonal communities for a little bit now. There's not that much information out there still. Brewster and Harwich are the 2 towns that have not accepted their designation yet. I know Brewster is planning to in the spring, and hopefully we are as well. So once more information comes out on that, hopefully by the end of the year, maybe not, but hopefully, we should have more clear answers for any questions that may come up throughout the process on that. But any help you guys want to do on the deep digging for that, I'm open to and appreciative of. The other one, the 2 that we didn't touch upon, I guess are more short term, maybe not as policy heavy, but One is coordinating with local employers. So asking major employers, what they see for employee housing issues. And I think it would be a great idea to use the findings to recommend or focus on attainable housing initiatives. Just where you see developments are coming up in town, like Pineville Village and other small ones. And I think having information about employers and what people really need to be able to live and work here, in the form of a report would be very helpful. So that would be the deliverable, which would be to create a summary or report to hold that information. And then the other one is launch a housing stories initiative. I know Yarmouth and Falmouth both have something like this. So just to collect short testimonials from residents who have struggled to find housing or who have benefited from affordable units. And with that, another deliverable for that should be a story series for social media or town website, and just it connects the personal stories to the numbers, I think. And I think it helps to see, someone that you may have known your whole life who you didn't know was in affordable housing, and just makes it more personal. So those are my actionable items. You guys don't have to do them. I think that they could be great short-term goals while you're working on the other stuff in the background. So open to any thoughts that you guys have about that.
Matthew, we'll start with you. Thoughts?
No, I mean, I like it. It's getting awareness out from people actually in the community, because you can sit and kind of look on, for instance, look on Zillow, housing prices all you want, but really talking to people who show up every day to work in the town and get it from their point of view, but then also the employers, because at the same time you need the businesses to have employees to keep running and keep sustainable growth for not just the business, but the school systems as well, looking outwards. So I like that. That's great. I was just reading through that while you were actually chatting, and I just thought that was a really good idea.
All right, Ellen. Ellen, any thoughts?
I agree. It's going to make people relate, and I think that's, the people that are maybe opposed to certain initiatives, this is going to give them a window into, why we need to come together and come up with a solution.
And just kind of piggyback, just with the Seasonal Communities Act and the bill that was passed in Mass, especially because I took a class recently at the Cape and Islands Association of Realtors on ADUs. They had somebody come down and chatting, and it was really eye-opening, and a lot of people there, just because that has made, in my opinion, good progress for how you can obtain ADUs. And I think having ownership is a good thing, looking forward down the line, helping people with housing, but also helping them with ownership, so then they have, their building equity the whole time.
Excellent. Art?
Well, the ownership problem is, like you say, that middle section that we're trying to address, there's no help for them unless the town is going to do it, which is not really feasible at this time, I would think. So that's a heavy lift.
Well, ownership, I kind of meant, sorry to interrupt, with the ADUs, making that, because the changes for how accessible an ADU is now, based on just owning a property, it's now a right.
Right.
So just kind of.
You can't get caught up in zoning anymore. They can't.
No bylaws, no zoning.
But you can't sell the ADU to somebody else.
Well, it has to be on the property.
It's part of the parcel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it just has to have three things: share utilities, septic, and have separate entrance. So there's just a few things you have to check off the box. But they really made it so if somebody gives you a hard time, you go in front of the town and say, "I'm following what the state says," and that just helps have a place that you're not just renting. I want to say.
And lenders are trying to wrap their programs around it. It's very infantile stages, but that is something that the lending market is going to help with.
So the ADUs is a great concept, and it's not it won't solve everything. It's like any one process of the housing problem. There's no one silver bullet out there that's gonna take care of everything. The ADUs are a good tool in the toolbox, but they do have their limitations. And the limitations are cost, dollars and cents. And so unless you, and like I made a statement numerous times, they need to have a incentive program for ADUs. Because for the average person that one wants to buy into this, once you reach over that threshold, going forward, it's very expensive. And return on your investment is like, well,
not dollar for
well,
dollar.
if you're Matt's age here, he's gonna see a return on investment. If you're my age, you're not gonna see a return on your investment. So that's where the incentives come in. So we have to come up with a program this incentive has gotta be, funded somehow. So, I mean, there's incentives around the edges that you can chip away with, you know, give rebates for like, permitting, applications and trying to make it more friendly and less costly and so on and so forth. That all helps. But the bottom line is, when that contractor shows up with his crew to do whatever you want him to do, that's when the rubber hits the road, so to speak. And I made a comment once upon a time, I won't be talking about myself, and I looked at my own ADU, my own potential ADU sitting in my backyard as a post and beam garage, oversized garage that I built 18 years ago, or had built. It's ideal. It's a post and beam structure. It looks beautiful. So I'm standing there and I just start, well, I got it hooking up to the septic system. And I gotta close it in, and I gotta do just that, insulate it, and I gotta bring heat in here, I gotta bring water in here, I gotta bring electricity in here. I'm looking at $200,000, and that was a couple of years, I don't know where I'm looking at now. I'm thinking to myself, that was a good idea, Art. You know, so it's expensive. But now there are other avenues that I see popping up, and that is the prefab. The factory built,
Right.
we deliver it on your pad
Yeah.
for you know, what is nominal dollars nowadays.
Right.
But that may or may not be an easy sell. Sometimes that prefab hasn't really caught on. I don't know why. Or factory
Well,
built.
they will. I hate to interrupt, but I'm working on an ADU task force.
Right.
Part of what we're working on with that, just so everybody knows, is alternative systems,
Right.
urine diversion, composting toilets, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Trying to get some pilot programs running up,
Mm.
because that makes ADUs so much easier. And tiny houses, which will be in seasonal communities. So, and getting the price, like I said, working on the transfer fee, I know
Yes. Well, that'll all help.
I've looked into a lot of the companies who are doing them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So like the prefabs are really nice.
Yeah.
One of
Yeah.
them, they're like as big as my house.
Yeah.
My house that I own, and the costs are, I mean, minimal compared to buying.
Yeah.
You're looking at $250 to $400. You can get I was already talking to people. You can get a 3-bed, 2-bath Cape for $400. It's just when you look here, it's like it's $800,000 in Harwich now. It's crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
That's
But the only thing is, you have to already have the land.
Right.
Right.
You know, no one's gonna buy a piece of land to go throw up an ADU. You know, you have to be able to more so families that have properties.
Yeah,
So it's
well,
a small little
Yeah, and I
That
mean,
goes
a
without
lot of
saying.
people are gonna
Yeah.
do it for like,
mom and dad
Right.
getting older. And
absolutely. like-
Exactly.
Hang on one sec,
Yeah.
because we're getting a little off topic.
Okay.
Brianna, I'm sure you have to go feed the kids.
No, I'm okay, but yes, yes, you were getting a little off topic.
So what do you want to discuss with us? Anything specific
Well,
you want
I was
now?
wondering, yeah, how you guys thought about those, or what you thought about those. I think, for the most part, everybody seems to think that those are important initiatives that we should maybe focus on. I don't, if those are good with you guys, I think that's a good short-term, goal that you can work on in any way that I can help. get that work done, I'm happy to support as well. And then just a few updates I had was that I had the third housing fair, which some of you were at, which I really appreciate. 2 weeks ago, and we had 19 different organizations that participated. It was a great turnout. Hopefully the next one, I'm gonna go all out, maybe do like a Harwich Housing Day and have some other events and a panel, but I think it was at least a good networking event as well for other organizations that were there. And then I have been working on monthly virtual informational sessions with guest presenters. I tried it a few months ago. I think Art did come to one of them. I did a affordable housing 101 and a credit for housing. Other topics that I really want to touch on are renter readiness and tenant rights, the home buying journey, understanding the deed restricted and affordable home ownership homes and ADUs. If you have any suggestions on what may boost participation in those, I would be more than happy to hear them and try them out, because we want to get the information out to people, and if it's not, people aren't coming with what I'm putting out there, then I need to have a different approach. So any suggestions that any of you have, I would love to be open to and hear. And then also I've been working with the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities and the town administrator to get the local action unit application approved for by BuildNet, which is the our schoolhouse. We're very close. I think that should be wrapping up at the state, hopefully within a timely manner. And then we have 203 Main Street coming on the pipeline, but they're still a little bit behind the other one. So any of that you guys want to comment on, great.
Okay. I'm sure we can all come up with suggestions for Zoom topics and also how to get the word out. I think that would be good. Let's, anything. The other thing, Brianna, I want it on the record. Please tell the rest of the committee about what you're doing with I'm blanking. Too many acronyms. What are you doing up in Boston?
Oh, okay. So thank you. So I was selected for a community development mentorship program. They do it annually. It's a small group of mentees that they take and they work with mentors. And I was thrilled to be matched with Dana Winter from Mass Housing Partnership. She's phenomenal and very, very well respected in the field, and she has been a wonderful mentor. But so many different people who are helping me understand things in a new way, and even just new resources for me to have. And yeah, it's been a great program. So if anybody has any, housing specific questions, we all do. But if the very specific questions, I can hopefully find the right resources and have been connected with enough people that I can give you the answers kind of quickly, much quicker than 4.
So we need to show you off now that you're actually getting to do great work. So we'll discuss all these topics. Is there anything you want before you go feed the kids?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right.
If you and I want to meet to go over anything that comes up tonight, I'll just shoot me an email tomorrow.
Terrific. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you.
attending.
Bye.
Good. So I like this. We finally have direction and things to do. So what do is there anything that anybody specific would like to work on?
Today or going forward?
Just going forward before our next. meeting?
I had just briefly told you before, Anthony and I
Right.
had met last week and we just chatted about the Seasonal Communities Act, just to start figuring that out. I mean, you said they're still each week saying, hey, we're gonna have the final outline. But I mean, most of the Cape has done it, so I know that's something that he wanted to chat about, whenever we get that chance, when he's here next and at the next meeting.
Okay. I think there is a lot of information out there on these things, and I think listening to this, I need to disseminate some more information to everyone, like from the AD working group that I'm on, which is really, that is really tied into how to make this work with wastewater. You know, part of knowing where to build is knowing where not to build, and trying to figure out ways to get around. There are places in Harwich that are never going to be sewer. You know, and we have a wonderful resource on the Cape in Mass Tech, which has now been renamed the Clean Water Center, which is a county program that does all sorts of different testing on various alternative systems. And they just got $2.5 million from the Gates Foundation to look into things. So the working group on ADUs is really looking into the combination of having new water treatment ideas be able to facilitate more ADUs. But in the process, who knows? You know, right now in housing, everybody is at the let's throw anything against the wall and see if anything sticks. But through that process, you're right, I learned a lot about the prefab ADUs. They're gorgeous. I've been on a couple of tours, and I keep walking in and going, yes, please, this is the perfect size for me.
The company is called Backyard ADUs. They've been doing a couple projects on the Cape so
Yeah.
far. I took a look at them. The video's beautiful. I mean, but then it's such a small little, like we were saying, window for. It's not like you're going to buying land to throw up all these little mini
Right.
houses and stuff.
Well, now that's one of the things that's in seasonal communities, is that you can do tiny houses, you know, which
Do they give definition? What do they consider tiny?
not officially yet, I don't think.
I mean,
I
do
mean,
you know?
No, I don't know.
no. You know, I'm hoping they'll be ADU size, or at least, you know, small ADU size, and not like, you know, that show on cable where, you know, they're in a house the size of this chair. But there are some, you know, pieces of land that really work for that, you know, because it's got vernal pool here and a vernal pool there, so you can't build a big house, but you can build little house there and a little house there and a little house there, little house there, so we shall see.
So one of the things, if we're brainstorming right now, and one of the things we haven't, well, maybe we have, but I haven't been present to it, is talk to the people that build houses,
Yep.
okay? And say, okay, guys, now we're not gonna, I'll leave the name out. We won't invite someone to the table that only builds $1 million houses, because that's where his niche is. And he's either gonna turn around and build starter homes. I'm looking at starter homes. And the starter home is somewhere between the tiny house, the ADU, and a mansion. So it's the attainable house. That was my first house, it was attainable. My second, third, fourth house was still obtainable, but the first one was really a starter home.
Yeah.
And you know, and talk to that next tier of builders that are out there, and they're probably, you know, they're qualified to build a house. They have the credentials, and maybe they're not building it because the emphasis is building seasonal homes at seasonal rates. And there is no emphasis for building the attainable home. And somehow bring them to the table, whether it's one at a time, two at a time, or a whole gaggle in a room, and you know, and just get their ideas. And maybe it won't go anywhere. Maybe just the basic construction prices are so high that it's just a fool's errand. But I'm thinking, out of that, they probably have some good ideas. How can we build a good, say, 1,200 square foot, 1,200 to 1,500 square foot house at an attainable rate? What do we have to do? Now, on one side, you got the rules and regulations. You got the specs, and the bylaws. You can't change those. You know, if it requires someone's insulation, certain size framing, all this stuff, you can't change the building codes, and we're not about to change the building codes. You know, so within the parameters of the building codes, how can we build an attainable house? I want someone to answer that to me, and maybe it can't be done, and then we'll just go where we have to go to make housing. But what we're looking for now, I think we're looking for the private house, the homeowner occupied house. That's what people really like to see in the neighborhood. You know, we're building a lot of rentals out there, and I think up and down the Cape, there's a fair amount of rentals being built. And now, if all these projects in Harwich come to fruition, we're going to be adding to our fair share. But rentals, right, it's another tool, it's another Band-Aid. But the bedrock is owner-occupied homes. And since we don't have big tracts of land anymore, so we're not going to be building a couple hundred houses at a time.
Right.
I mean, it'd be like, you know, it'll be like Habitat, 4, 5, 6 houses in one neighborhood, and then they build a little neighborhood. So, but we don't know if that can be done. And it's obviously going to take some subsidies, or a better word is incentives. People don't like subsidies, you know. I mean, that kind of rubs them the wrong way. So, or maybe we need other language to put in there. The town's got to get involved, and the state's got to get involved. Somehow they got to see the need for this, and they got this $5 billion, and hopefully it gets spent in the right way. And I think part of the right way is owner occupied. You can't go wrong with owner occupied.
Which reminds me, may I give you a homework assignment?
Sure.
For the next meeting, will you bring in the information about that piece of land behind the new Habitat? Oh, jeez.
So look at my folder. I will give you a copy of a copy. I'm sorry I didn't make enough copies for everybody, because it's not on the agenda, so.
I know, it's not limited to ADUs and zoning and Shiloh's funding sources, so. Do you want to explain?
Okay, this piece of property's been bandied around since Hector was a pup. It's called 72 Willow Street. And the problem with 72 Willow Street is that the boundaries were, in some cases, a little wonky. In other words, they weren't totally defined. And I think if you, you could write a book on it. All the litigations and lawyers and people looked at it, and meetings and so on and so, what to do with this. So finally, in the year of 2020, way back in history, someone put the foot down and said, solve the problem. Well, the problem was, okay, we'll solve the problem. Because we had a couple boundary lines that were undefined. Take your pen in hand, draw new boundary lines. And the problem. That's all they did. And it was a couple structures, belonged to abutters,
Yeah,
that they had built a garage or chicken, whatever it was,
so
Could be
like an
chicken.
encroachment type thing.
on the property. And it
Yeah.
was like back and forth, back. No, I didn't. Here's the best day of your life. You're gonna get something for nothing. Throw a line around. You now own that. No cost to you. Sign, all you gotta do is gotta sign on a piece of paper. And it went away. So there it is.
And the town owns this.
Town owns it.
I will scan this and.
No, you
send
keep,
it.
that's a comment.
Well, no,
So,
for
but,
that.
but the best part about it, it backs up to a project called Murray Lane
Okay.
that Habitat built 4 or 5 years ago, off of 28 in West Harwich. So you get all the way down, you go down 28 and almost to the town, almost to our Dennis town line. There's a little side road called Murray Lane. You drive in there and there's, I believe, 6 houses on an acre, a little horseshoe. And this property, at one point in the back it touches the property. But that's not gonna, that's just a coincidence or whatever you wanna call it.
People have been throwing this
Yeah.
idea of this land, well, we don't have the loan, so finally, Art and Elaine Shovlin from,
So anyways,
the-
I mean, but there
Open
are other parcels around town that they could be sniffed up or whatever. And then the second part of the equation is the houses that are, whether they're abandoned or whatever. And all of a sudden, one day, you go by day after day, week after, whatever, and you see this house deteriorating. All of a sudden, you see all this activity, and they clean it all up, and put new siding on a roof, all this stuff, maybe put addition on it, and they probably bought it for not a lot of money, because it looked bad.
Yeah.
And no one wants to see a house that looks bad, because you can't sell a house that looks bad.
No.
You could sell it to Art Bowden, because Art Bowden loves it. I love to buy a house that looks bad, because I know I'm taking advantage, I'm not taking advantage of it. I will make that house look good with the sweat equity and a few buckets of paint and time and so on and so forth. But the average person doesn't want to do that, and I can agree with you. If you're working, you've got a family and stuff like this, you don't have time to do this stuff.
Yeah.
I was
Sometimes it's
retired
not
and I had the
financeable
time to
either.
do it on my house, so, yeah, I took advantage of that. So,
Yeah, rehabilitation.
those houses popped up now and then. One just popped up a couple months ago, within the last 2 months, on 39. I didn't even know there was a house there. And I go up and down 39 because I live on 39. If I don't go up every day, it's every second day. I'm either going to the grocery store or hardware store up in East Harwich. And all of a sudden, there was a crewman there, chainsaws, and they cut all the vegetation around. I said, oh my God, there's a house here.
One down that little hill, kind of, across from the water tower.
No, it's right on the flat. It's just on the other side of the bike trail, a little ways up. And
Yes, I just noticed that
And
yesterday.
all of a sudden, someone stripped the outside of the house, stripped the roof off. They raised it up, they put a foundation under it, dropped it down. Now they're siding it, and I don't know what they bought it for.
You can look online.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple, $200,000-300,000. And you know they're gonna sell it for
A lot more.
Yeah.
3 times that.
Mhm.
It won't be $1 million house, but it'll be a $800,000-900,000 house. Now it's not, it's lost its attainability, because
Right.
now it's decent, it's clean.
Well,
It looks nice.
that's one of the things that I believe is in seasonal communities, is more ability to get, tax incentives and things to rehabilitate.
Yeah,
a
but see,
house
but,
or
but that there,
something, so we have to look at it.
with that program, you need to stay, because there is no money to buy that house.
We're working on money, I keep telling you.
Okay, well,
There, in the Seasonal Communities Act, there actually are ways to get money.
okay. But-
And it's, and actually, there's even some in the big Homes Act bill, but those are mainly tax.
But see,
But there is way to get money.
in a case like that, you need an entity that has money and has a checkbook. When that hits the market, you're right there. How much you want? 100,000, 200, 500? There you go, here's your check. And it's done. Now, if you have to go through all this hocus pocus to get appropriations, the buyer, they're not gonna, because there's gonna be someone there with money in his pocket and buy it right on the spot.
Well, one of the things, let me tell you two things that are being worked on that Brianna didn't put on her list. But, one, inclusionary zoning. Gotta get that.
These are all these, yeah,
Harvard.
these are all good things, and they need to be done.
And two, year-round housing fund.
Right.
You create a fund that is for attainable.
Okay.
You know, some towns actually set that to a limit of like 250 AMI. Some towns, I don't think, limit it. But so those are two things that are also being worked on, trying to get to town meeting. And so that's what's gonna be key for us, is looking at towns that do have these things and seeing how they did. So I have a lot of those, which I will send everybody. Now that I have a real committee, I'm so happy. I think, let me, if we could chat all night long, so that's, I'm hungry.
Folders in.
So, this
Oh.
is
There you go.
what I
Well,
went to today.
Brendan had a folder. Thank you.
And it's got,
Some good stuff in here.
yeah, it's got, you know, a list of all of the acts that are up at the State House right now.
Okay.
And, you know, some programs at Housing Assistant that maybe we can look into. And what's really great is, I know we're also trying to get at least to locals on the town meeting. And that's got a card in here of opportunities for towns to create and preserve year-round housing. And so this was, so I found this was actually sort of helpful in its own way. Sometimes these meetings can be the same people sitting around talking about the same things
Oh,
with the same solutions. Today was not. I felt like we learned.
there's some real interesting stuff here, Elizabeth.
I know, that's why I went around to the tables and stole enough copies for everybody. So, I'm gonna let everybody get out of here, but, is there anything else you wanna discuss, chat over, before we decide what we're all gonna do?
I don't know. Well, I'll start the ball rolling, not that, your first item under discussion for committee topics, zoning.
Right.
Well, I had that call with Christine, planning board, and, because she had made that comment about she was looking for help, and she said basically she told me she's working on zoning changes, which is a plus, okay, that's good. And, but she wanted to, before she went too far down the road, kind of get the feeling of the select board. Make sure they're kind of in tune, or anyways, of what she's looking at. I mean, no sense of going off in a direction and saying, well, we're not gonna support you, and it won't go anywhere. So, but I've never heard back that what happened with that. Well, I can kind of guess, we a lot of administrative balls are up in the air, called personnel problems. Until that kind of settles out.
Right. Well, Brianna is really, as you can tell from this and the other things, she's finally really getting to do things.
Yeah.
And she's having meetings with all the other housing directors, or I can't think of the other word that they call them. I did write to interim town administrator Schiavi and ask him to change her title, because her title is housing advocate, and I'm a housing advocate. I'm the one that goes and screams at people, we need housing. She is either the director of housing or the housing coordinator.
Yeah, I agree.
So hopefully maybe
Yeah,
that's just as an aside, but
that's a good point. Excellent
because
point.
everyone she meets with, director of, coordinator of, advocate. So, yeah, so zoning, all we can do is when we hear of something interesting in another town, oh, did you know, Orleans is doing this, let everybody know and see what they're up to. Right now, unlike us, a lot of towns are having fall town meetings. So we could do some investigating into what's happening at the towns that are having town meetings. What are they meeting?
The second one here, I don't know how far how much I want to say about this one. The shy list.
Which is redundant.
We pay, or we contribute to support of community development partnership, Jay Coburn's operation, housing initiative program, housing institute. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
housing institute. So we support CPC supports housing institute, and most all the towns support it on a certain basis. Means that we contribute money to them to put on these programs. And I would think it'd be, I've never heard of a program put on and just talked about the shy list. Ins and outs, because it's coming to light right now that we have two projects in town that are kind of, I don't know what I want to say. I want to say it right. I never say it right. Kind of hit a roadblock a little bit. They built these affordable units. They're all set. There was two separate projects, and trust granted X number of dollars, and everything went along fine until the last component. Everyone just thought, well, it'll be just a matter of whatever. The biggest roadblock gone. Now the state advocates that they want affordable housing, but to get the designation, apparently, you gotta be, jumping through hoops is easy. But you gotta jump through the hoop doing a backflip, carrying torches or something. I don't know what you gotta do, and chewing gum at the same time. I don't know what you gotta do to get through that hoop. And then after you get through the hoop, after you've done everything, you still have to have a lottery that has to be sanctioned
Oh, yeah, all that stuff.
by an entity that puts the lotteries on. And so it's not days, weeks, it's months, and it could be even longer before. And so we got 6 units sitting in town, completed and unoccupied. There is the crime.
people are working on that.
Let's hope they're
And
working.
also, should we pass seasonal communities in town meeting, there is then a way to designate the affordable housing for municipal workers.
That's right.
So perhaps if it takes that long for people to get their, to get their forms in and everything,
Yeah.
by the time they get them, we'll be able to give them to municipal workers. But that's a thought we won't discuss on television.
Okay. Anyway,
So ADUs, we
Okay,
did
well, hey, dude, I'm talking
funding
about all that.
sources.
Keep going on them. I like it.
I told you all about the county and how we're trying to, support, trying to get a county home rule petition for a transfer fee. Each town, most of the towns have one. I think Harwich should get one. I'm gonna ask about us putting that in too. And then Senator Sear is working on expanding the Seasonal Communities Act, because right now there are 2 or 3 towns on the Cape that don't fit it.
Mhm.
And they should. There's no boundaries on the Cape. And, so he's trying, and same, the people with seasonal communities are us and like the Berkshires.
Yeah,
and,
right.
and they have the same problems we do.
Yeah.
Tourists, people who work there can't afford to live there anymore. So trying to expand it and trying to, so that the entire Cape can be covered. And then as part of that, putting the transfer fee in there. So there's 3 different ways of getting the transfer fee. I had a very nice talk with the woman who's now in charge of one of the realtor associations, Betsy. I got a good sense of, I think there are ways we could get the realtors to somewhat support it. I can't imagine everyone would, but I'm hoping,
Yeah, how's it going?
if you look into it, that maybe you can come tell
So
us
Matt,
why the
how's the
realtors.
feeling out there on that?
Yeah, I mean, just like what the realtors think and why they're against it, because that helps. Knowing why people are against it helps to know
Yeah,
how to make it work for people.
that's right.
Because right now, that seems to be the best way, quickest, easiest way of getting funding for attainable housing.
Okay, so the designation would be for attainable, because usually when you say housing, you think of, affordable housing, which is under 80%
Right.
AMI.
We're trying not to, in order to get the towns to buy in, we're trying to make it have local control over as much of it as possible. And so I think it should just go to attainable.
Mhm.
I don't get to tell them what to do. No, nobody gets to tell the towns what to do. It's their money. We can hope that they use it for attainable. But there are some towns that desperately need affordable. So we can't, in order to really get people behind this, we have to make it as much of, most of the choices should be at the town level.
It's gotta be as broad as
And
possible.
this should
yeah,
not
yeah.
tell the towns what
Okay.
they can do. I mean, the 2 things that basically that we insist on are, it has to go into a housing fund.
Okay.
It can't go into the general fund
No,
of the town. So whether it's an affordable housing trust, whether it's a year-round
Yeah.
housing fund, whatever, but it has to go in one of those. It's not going into that, it's not going into their wastewater fund, it's going into a housing-related fund. And the other thing, that we we're sort of insisting on is that the fee doesn't start until the first million.
Okay.
Oh, so, okay.
So if you're selling your house for $1.5 million, the fee is on the five.
Not on the.
Right.
You know, because a lot of the houses here, you know, where people live and people want to, you know, as we're talking about the starter homes,
Right.
things like that,
Yeah.
we don't want them to pay it. And
Yeah.
also, along with that, like I said, $1 million, that's the only thing we're really dictating.
Mm.
Other than that, towns can do whatever. They can set whatever rate they want. They can decide what the cost is to start as long as it's over $1 million. They can make all sorts of exemptions, first-time home buyers, things like that. So, you know, hopefully that will get us money,
So,
but we
just-
still have to focus on other
just
ways.
Enlighten me on one little tidbit. On the other end now, attainable housing, say this goes through and it becomes profitable or enough that you can start building attainable housing, would that be deed restricted?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Okay. Oh.
again, have to leave it up to the towns, but I would assume that every town would
Okay.
make a deed restriction. I mean, that's you know, that's part of the problem, and it's part of the solution because Vail, Colorado, this is where this all started.
Yeah.
Vail had this program called Vail and Deed, because they had the same problems we did. You know, it's all vacation.
Mm.
Vacationers own these really expensive condos that they're in for 2 months. Vail can't exactly grow, there's nowhere to go. So they started this deed restriction thing. I think they started, I'm not even sure, 10 years ago.
Mm.
30% of their housing is now guaranteed year-round. And that's a nice level if we
Yeah.
can get something like that, you know.
Mm.
So, but that's why you're on the committee. So you have to tell us what
Yeah,
what your industry thinks, because they're
A lot
not
of
too
different
happy
things.
about this.
No, and I get it. I mean,
Yeah.
because then you could, I mean, we get a lot of our business from people coming, like not just housing business, but
Right.
town money that comes to the town from this. So if you start setting all these new deed restrictions, people who are interested in coming here, they may say, "Yeah, you know what? Like, not there." I don't know. That's what I see to it. And
Right.
transfer, were they talking about a transfer for each town now individually
Mm.
and a county one? Is that what?
The way what ours says, and I think it's what Julian's says, Senator Sears says, is that each town will opt in. If it's countywide, each town will opt in. They will get at least 90% of their money back. And then 10% would go to the county, like 3% of that for admin costs for the registry of deeds if they need a new person or something, but I don't know that they will. And then a, 7% of that going into a regional fund, year-round fund, because that would work like the Clean Water Trust. It
Mhm.
wouldn't just be the county. I wanna, I wouldn't get to walk in a room and go, I want $1 million to buy that. It would be like the Clean Water Trust Fund, where every town that's in there would have their own, would have a representative, one town, one vote, no
Mhm.
proportional. And they would, they'd get applications and they would decide, would this be a good regional project, would it not? So it's, nowhere in there is, is there a way for me to sit at the county and tell everyone what I want them to do?
Yeah. No, I'd like to look into it more and see like any repercussions that Avail had or anything as well. The only thing I can think of from a professional standpoint is saying, say you have an elderly woman who needs to sell her house, and the only way she got that house was with a deed restriction, but now she needs money to live the rest of her life, and you just pushed out a big pool of buyers who won't touch it because there's a deed restriction. So then when the repercussion comes, hey, I need to sell, oh wait, your buying pool is minuscule.
Yeah.
No. If an older woman is in a house,
Hmm.
And she says she needs to sell it.
the deed restriction,
Would be someone has to use it year round to buy it. Is that my understanding?
yeah, but she would have been paid for the deed restriction.
Okay, that's what I didn't understand.
Yeah, like the town or the whatever entity goes to a homeowner and says, in fact, an older woman would be a perfect example of who this works for. You have someone who, their kids don't want the house when they die, or they didn't have children or whatever, and they want to live in their house until they die, but you know, prices have gone way up and everything. So the town gives them money right then, on the spot, for whatever they want to use it for, with the guarantee that when the house is sold, it gets a year-round deed restriction. Do you see? So yes, it makes the price, the seller price, go down somewhat. But they're finding in Vale not all that much.
I guess I wasn't thinking on that end. I was thinking more like before, say kids need to get mom into a nursing home. The kids
Yeah.
need to sell the house for mom, and mom needs money to live the rest of her life. Now, not the fact that she's not getting the money, but that she could have a tougher time selling that house with that restriction. So it could delay mom's plans. That's the only.
Oh, I see.
But I was just not against it, not on either side. It's just I was looking at what it did Vale have any repercussions of people, or because there's always both sides. What did the negative say? What did the positive say? And then you got to find a happy middle. No, I've never really heard realtors want to be against things. I mean, it depends who you are, I guess. But
It will cut down on certain home prices. So,
outrageous anyway. So.
you know, that's what. But
It's kind of
real
like,
estate.
it's almost like rent control. I mean, you
Ah.
can rent the apartment out for so much, and you can only sell your house for so much. It's based on a
Exactly.
formula set. And,
So-
yeah, you can take both sides of the argument, and argue both ways.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking at the greater good right now is we need housing. And the whole segment of the population, whether it's Cape Cod or all the way across the country, is being left out. It's just going away from you. It's not attainable.
Right.
You know? So that's, so it'll, to make it universal, it's gonna take some good leadership and some good, hard decisions, but, so anyway, so you got two kind of things going here. You got like the rehab house, like I was just talking about, and then but you got the brand new one that starts out well. But even over the years I've read stories that back in Connecticut they had projects and stuff like that, and and I think even in Massachusetts, and people bought houses. They heard deed restriction. But 20 years later, you get a little foggy on what you heard, and you go to sell the house, and they thought the house was worth what they thought the market was. So they thought right, but they forgot about the deed restriction, and that kicked in. So instead of getting, just take a figure, $500,000 for a house, and they get $350,000. I said, whoa.
Yeah, but there are people willing to do that, surprisingly, lots of them.
Yeah.
So let's get to our action items.
Okay.
We have all this stuff from Brianna, and unless anybody has something that, I think first of all we all need to do some homework now that we have things to do. Go through these bills, see what they are. I'll send everyone the transfer fee thing. We're working at the county, and other housing information that comes along through that. And I think before the next meeting, we could all just, when you're talking to employers in town, you know, if you're talking to a store owner, by the way, what would you, you know, what are your workers facing?
So should we canvas or just casually
If
do
you
it?
feel like canvassing, go ahead.
I mean, I can just take a Saturday and just, you know, walk through Harwich Port. I mean, I'm assuming you wanna talk to Wacosset, Richmere.
Yeah, Wacosset and Witchmere are buying hotels
Yeah.
for their employees, which the town should have done, but I digress. Yeah, I mean, if you feel like canvassing, that would be great. I'd like to get a list of like who, you know, think about who we should talk to.
Yeah, see, the high-end resorts,
And,
see, I think they've got ahead of this. I could,
Yeah, they had to, or
they
else
have.
couldn't-
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I know CBI, I know
Yeah.
Witchmere,
CB.
Cassett, they own properties.
Yeah.
And Wacosset
And they
is
provide
expanding.
transportation, yeah.
Yeah,
stuff
and
like
so, and Witchmere wants to expand.
Yeah, I get calls on listings I have and other things, and people are always interested when it's the stuff that needs work. It's a lot of the contractors or restaurant owners or people, hey, I'm interested, you can house a
Yeah.
couple of my employees and we can fix it up, something like that. Those are usually the houses like, we had one on Route 28 across from, like next to the thrift store, right up there. It was like,
Okay.
and we had work, people calling, hey, I'm looking at this for my employees. So you see that. And it's like they need that housing because they don't get work, you know? But like you said, CBI, and
Yeah.
they have that all.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're all gonna do our homework. Ellen's gonna chat with business owners. Will you chat with, your realtor friends
Yeah,
and
let's-
also people your age, so we can get those stories, your friends that can't afford their own house?
I already have a bunch of
You know,
stories.
yeah,
So-
so collect some of those.
So Elizabeth, to backtrack, I would think the initiative for municipal employees, you would think, or I would think, would be an easy sell to the town. Because one of the problems they have in Harwich, the town has, is hiring employees. So, you know, I know for a fact, like, Public Works, because I see my neighbor all the time, he's working all kinds of overtime. Like he razzles him all the time about, Rogers said, well, he said, they call me when I go to work, Saturdays, Sundays, whatever, you know, he's away from his regular job, he's got a regular job with the Public Works, but he works for facilities, but anyways, he comes out of the Public Works Department. And so they need him at the transfer station, they need him, whatever.
Yeah, I know, that's to me the biggest way to sell the
Well,
seasonal
should we talk,
communities.
should include that too,
Yeah,
municipal, like
I would think,
school,
so,
fire department.
You're right, I mean,
yeah, all municipal
Yeah.
employees, which
Um,
have, you know,
yeah, if somebody, well, yeah, talk to, employees, see,
well,
like, how can people, you know, I
Well-
think for the stories part, it's, you know, if you see someone, you know, young working at town hall, or really not that young, you know, and just flat out ask, how are you affording to live here? You know, better done in a bar than a table,
Say
but,
5 jobs.
yeah, I mean, some
Yeah.
people it's 5 jobs. Some people it's, well, thank God my parents live here, you know.
yeah.
So finding those stories, all those different kinds of stories from municipal workers and businesses and all that, I think, the more we can, I was thinking about that today at this too, because if, you know, like the Pine Oaks project,
Hmm.
so there's people that are really vocally against it. But there's so many people who don't understand why we need it and what the thinking is behind it. And if they see all these people with kids who are you know, have to move out of their apartment from May to September because it's being done as a short-term rental or whatever. I think the more stories we can collect and put together, both on video and, you know, written on the website, will help people understand why we need this. You have to put a face to it, you know, because otherwise you get the people who just think, as was lovingly said at town meeting once, that affordable housing is just for drug dealers from Roxbury. So the more face we can put it on, let them know, no, it's your neighbor. No, it's these people. So we can all work on getting stories, and you're gonna talk to your friend. And we're all gonna do homework. And I'm gonna send you all the information on all of this, and
So we're gonna, now is, just to educate you a little further, on the initiative for municipal employees housing, that comes under the state's umbrella of this program.
seasonal housing.
Right.
So now, that's a separate designation, right? I mean, does the town have to apply for that? What's the mechanism?
Yes, we will have to,
I would think that was something we would wanna do, like, right
well,
away. I
it
would
has to
think
be done at town meeting, and at the last town meeting, our select board and town administrator didn't even wanna entertain it. So now we're going to ask this town meeting for the town to support it, especially because, I mean, like Brianna said, it's us and Brewster that haven't, everybody else has. So, we know how it's working, we know what they're doing.
What is their objection to it? Just,
There are certain people who are tired of this state telling them what to do.
Yeah.
So we also have to make it clear that the state is not telling you, you have to do this. It's just giving you another tool. The one thing that is not in, that is actually just in the Homes Act and not seasonal communities is 40Y that Brendan was talking about.
right.
Because that
41 is the starter home.
is starter homes, and you can, and that you're allowed to zone for, you know,
Yeah.
without the season.
Once again, all these you have to, the town has to apply for, and it has to be voted on at a town meeting.
Right.
And the clock is ticking for a town meeting. I know the town meeting is until May, but they usually shut off the warrants sometime around the first of the year. They don't take any more warrant applications, because they don't want a town meeting that's gonna last 6 days, you know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
They wanna
I mean,
boil it
yeah.
down,
Yeah.
and so, so
Like some of us wanted it.
it's like now, you have to have the paperwork together, whatever paperwork takes. And I would think Brianna would help us with this, and I think it should, once again, come out of her office through our prodding, what do we gotta do to support her?
Well, I think we get everything together
Yeah, so
and then
what-
give it to
right.
Brianna, and along with our support,
Right,
and we can present it to the select board, because we're the advisory committee to the select board. You know, because Brianna has enough to do, now that she's doing a lot.
yeah, but,
And so
Want her to
any
get credit for it.
information we can put together for her
okay,
is good. You know, that's why she comes to this meeting.
so we need to know
So,
how to put, whatever we gotta put together. I mean, what's the application look like, or
Yeah.
what's the documentation look like? What kind of write-up you need?
I have other towns, seasonal communities warrant articles. So, I mean, if people sort of work on, get up to date, I'll send you so much stuff, you're gonna hate me. We'll go over Brianna's list, and then at the next meeting, if you wanna send me stuff, like during the month, I can try to gather it all up into a report.
Speaking of that,
That we can present, that I can give everyone.
speaking of sending stuff, there's a new edict in town. We're supposed to have our own email addresses.
Yes.
Right, we're on group 3.
We're on group two.
We're in group 3,
What's
so,
that mean? I don't know. Is that a
it
good- is that a
means,
good group?
like Mark was FinCom, so his was this week. I have it, I think, somewhere. I don't know, that's open meeting law. I know how to look for it. Emily. All right. Town emails for boards, committees. Here we are. So we are group 3,
So the town clerk announced the rollout of this
and
the other day.
it says we look forward to over these next few months to coordinate successful. So
Oh.
she met with group 1. So I'm guessing maybe December.
Oh,
She'll
so she has a calendar set up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Oh, I'm
saw
sorry.
something, it was December for group 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
By the end of the year.
This is my face. This always freaks me out when my phone doesn't recognize me. I'm gonna forward this to you all right now.
So what do we have to do? Or we just wait for her to invite us over for tea?
Yeah, no, this is just to, let you know that we're group 3 and, hope she, and it goes over it a little.
Okay.
So does everyone feel comfortable about
Yeah.
going forward from here? And then, now that we're a real committee, we should probably think about having a set meeting time.
Oh, yeah. That's,
Because, they sort of request, they like it on the, if people wanna come see us
yeah.
and all. And so I was wondering how this 4th Tuesday of the month works.
I look at my calendar.
It's already November, yeah.
It looks fine to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that might be Thanksgiving next month, but
Oh, the
Actually,
maybe,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, yeah.
I don't think it is.
Might be away in
Thanksgiving
December.
is weird.
Yeah, I'm out of town for a
Like
whole week.
December is gonna be Christmas.
Christmas, yeah.
Not worrying about that.
Yeah, for November, I'm gonna be off, as they say, off Cape for that week.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, that would be,
Yeah.
well, that would be the Monday of Thanksgiving. Are you going away?
No, it's the Monday?
Before Thanksgiving.
Oh, so you wanna do Mondays, not
I'm sorry,
Thursdays.
Tuesday. It's the Tuesday before.
Tu-
Sorry, it's
That-
the
that week,
Tuesday before
Thanksgiving week.
So it'd be the Tuesday of
Thanksgiving
Thanksgiving week.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here, like, are other people, it's kind of a hectic time for
Yeah,
people.
I'm not here.
and you're not here.
Yeah.
So, all right. So maybe that's not gonna work. I checked the, committee book and it seems like this room is booked practically every other Tuesday and Thursday. But let me see what I can do, because it really does make it easier if we all know
What?
ahead of time
Mm-hmm.
when we're having the meeting.
Yeah.
So I will check on that and see, but yeah, Thanksgiving's not. And then, but don't forget to put in your books that December 8th,
At
Monday
1,
at
yeah.
1 o'clock, we're gonna meet with the Affordable Housing Trust. So at some point, I'd like for us to get together, go over all this stuff, and, anything we wanna talk to the
So,
trust
so that's
about.
December now.
That
So,
is
Yeah.
December. So sometime in November,
November.
I will try to find a date
So
where
we
we
should
can
make
have
it
this.
earlier in the month, because once you get up at that Thanksgiving, then it just falls apart.
Yes, but it's already November.
People
Well,
go
it won't
away
be
and forget to come
4
back.
hours. Good Lord. Yeah, maybe the week of the 15th,
Okay, and
you know, we'll see. No, that's December, pay no attention to me. November, the week of the 17th.
should run the calendar.
So let's see, that's the Toast of Harwich week. Alrighty, so do people feel good, feel like we have
Yeah,
future things to work on,
Mhm.
what we wanna discuss? And just keep communication open.
sure.
When you discover something, let me know, you know, it's not open meeting law violation if you all send me things. And, you know, 2 people can talk to each other at any given time. 3 people,
Use a quorum.
Is a
You can't, yeah.
but 2 people can chat anytime you want to, ask questions or whatever.
Yeah.
So try to keep communication open. Like I said, I'll be filling your inboxes.
Okay, so
Uh,
hone in on a date and,
and let's see if we can't possibly have the next meeting. Oh no, is Veterans Day a holiday?
It is.
It is.
that's the 11th.
How about Tuesday the 18th or Thursday the 20th? Can I aim for those 2 days and see
That works
which
for
of
me.
this,
Hey, let me see.
when I can get a room?
Yep.
When do we have the housing authority?
We have the Housing Authority on
Port Tracy was all.
the 18th.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's early in the
right, that's
afternoon.
at 4. So, all right, so I will let you know whether Tuesday the 18th or Thursday the 20th works, because, you know, it's all about getting a room.
18th or 20th, okay.
Yes. So may I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Will you hit stop record?
Okay, now we can go home to do something, have dinner.
Thank you, well, we had 1 person watching.